Here's a strange little confession. You could be surrounded by people who genuinely love you, who show up, who call, who care, and still feel hollow, like something's missing. But the moment someone texts you in a panic asking for help, the moment someone says, "I don't know what I'd do without you," suddenly you feel alive, real, like you matter. That's a weird thing to notice about yourself, isn't it? Because love is supposed to be the thing. Love is the whole point. Movies, songs, poetry, all of it chasing love. And yet, for a surprising number of people, maybe you, maybe someone sitting very close to you right now, being needed quietly wins every time. It hits different. It lands deeper. So why does that happen? Why does needing feel more nourishing than loving? Is it a flaw? A wound? A superpower in disguise? Stick around, because the psychology here is far more layered and far more human than you might expect. Picture this. There's someone in your life, could even be you, who has an almost magnetic pull toward people in chaos. The friend going through a messy divorce, the sibling who's always in financial trouble, the partner who needs saving. And this person shows up every single time. Not resentfully, enthusiastically. They cancel plans, lose sleep, give money they don't have, and they feel good doing it. From the outside, it looks like pure generosity, but here's what's actually happening underneath. The rescuer has learned somewhere along the way, usually early, usually in a home where love was conditional or unpredictable, that love alone isn't a safe foundation. Love can be taken away. Love can disappear without warning. But usefulness, that's a contract. That's leverage. If I'm the person who fixes your problems, you cannot afford to leave. Psychologists sometimes call this a caretaking schema, a deeply wired belief that your value is transactional. You earn belonging by solving, helping, fixing. Being loved feels passive, almost fragile. Being needed feels like security. The rescuer isn't broken, they're adaptive. They found a strategy that worked. The only cost is that they rarely let anyone rescue them, the indispensable one. Then there's a slightly different flavor. This person doesn't necessarily seek out broken people, they just make themselves irreplaceable. At work, they're the only one who knows how the system works. In the family, they coordinate everything. The holidays, the logistics, the group chats. In friendships, they remember every birthday, every detail, every unspoken grievance. And if you suggest that maybe they could delegate, maybe they could let someone else handle it, they smile and say, "Oh, I don't mind." But something in their eyes flickers, because deep down, the thought of not being needed is quietly terrifying. This is what researchers link to a fear of ordinariness, the dread of being just fine, just another person in the room. Significance for this type isn't found in being cherished, it's found in being central, in being the axis the wheel turns around. Love says, "I choose you." Need says, "I cannot function without you." And one of those feels a lot more binding, doesn't it? The one who shrinks when things get good. But here's the twist. Some people don't chase need from the outside, they unconsciously create it from the inside. Relationships are going well, life is stable, nothing's on fire, and they feel oddly uncomfortable, restless, like they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. So they stir the pot, not maliciously, often without even realizing it. A comment that creates distance, a decision that needs smoothing over, a moment of withdrawal that makes someone else reach out, chase, re-pursue. Suddenly, they're needed again. The relationship has tension again. And tension, bizarrely, feels like intimacy. This connects to what attachment researchers call an anxious ambivalent style, where calm feels like abandonment in disguise. If no one's worried about you, are they paying attention? If no one's reaching for you, do you exist to them? Love at peace feels like love asleep. Need, with all its friction and urgency, at least feels awake. This one can be painful to recognizing yourself, but recognizing it is exactly the point. The quiet martyr. Another profile, and this one's common enough to sting a little. The quiet martyr doesn't demand attention. They don't ask for help. They carry everything silently and visibly, if that makes sense. There's a specific kind of suffering they perform, not for drama, but for proof. Proof that they are needed. Proof that without their sacrifice, things would fall apart. The martyr often grew up in a family where emotional needs were either dismissed or weaponized, where love was shown through suffering, through a parent who said, "Everything I do for you," while clearly running on empty. They learned that being needed isn't just about usefulness, it's about irreplaceable sacrifice. It's a kind of love language built entirely out of labor. The tragedy is that martyrs are often deeply, genuinely loved, but they can't receive it. Love offered freely feels suspicious. Love that costs nothing feels like it's worth nothing. So they keep pouring, keep giving, keep ensuring the need never runs out. Because the moment they stop being needed, they fear they stop being loved. And somewhere, they believe they were never quite lovable in the first place. And finally, the one who's helped so long, so consistently for so many people, that somewhere along the way they misplaced the answer to a simple question. What do I actually want? This person is beloved, truly, but they experience love like light through frosted glass, warm, present, but somehow not quite reaching them directly, because they've built their entire identity around the function they serve. And when people love them, not for what they do, but just for who they are, it produces this strange, quiet panic. But what are you loving exactly? I'm not sure I know who that is. Psychologists describe this as enmeshment with a caretaker role, when the helper role stops being something you do and becomes something you are. Need gives them a shape. Love, without the anchor of usefulness, leaves them formless. And formless is terrifying. So here we are, 5 different faces, one underlying threat. Somewhere between how we were raised, what we survived, and what we had to become, some of us learned to feel real through usefulness rather than through warmth, to feel safe through function rather than through connection. And none of that makes you broken. It makes you human, deeply, fascinatingly human. The question, and I'll leave you with this, is whether the version of mattering you've built actually feeds you, or whether you've been so busy being needed that you forgot to let yourself be loved. Which one of these landed closest to home for you? The rescuer, the indispensable one, the one who stirs calm waters, the quiet martyr, or the helper who lost themselves in the helping? Drop it in the comments, genuinely curious. And if this kind of psychology speaks to something in you, subscribe, because we go deep here every single week. Not to diagnose, just to understand. See you in the next one.